and Rabindranath Tagore himself. My 5-year-old daughter Minnie can't stop talking for a minute. It only took her a year to learn to speak after coming into this world, and ever since she has not wasted a single minute of her waking hour by keeping silent. Her mother often scolds her and makes her shut up, but I can't do the same. When Minnie is quiet, it is so unnatural that I simply cannot bear it. So she's rather keen on chatting to me because I always listen to her. One Monday morning, as I was starting the 17th chapter of my novel, my Minnie came up to me and said, Father, Ram Dayal, the gatekeeper, calls a crow a kawa instead of a cock. He doesn't know anything, does he? Before I had the chance to enlighten her about the multiplicity of languages in this world, she brought up another subject. Guess what, Father? Bhola says it rains when an elephant in the sky squirts water through its trunk. What nonsense does he talk? On and on, all day. Without waiting for my opinion on this matter either, she suddenly asked, Father, what relation is mother to you? Good question, I asked to myself, but to Minnie I said, run off and play with Bhola. I've got so much work to do. But then she sat down near my feet beside my writing table and slapping her knees began to recite Agdum Bagdum at top speed. Meanwhile, in my 17th chapter, Pratap Singh was leaping under cover of night from his high prison window into the river below with Kanchanmala in his arms. My study looks out onto the road. Minnie suddenly abandoned the Agdum Bagdum game and ran over to the window and shouted, Kabuliwala! Kabuliwala! Dressed in dirty baggy clothes, puggree on his head, bang hanging from his shoulder, and with 3 or 4 boxes of grapes in his hands, a tall Kabuliwala was ambling along the road. It was hard to say exactly what thoughts the sight of him had put into my beloved daughter's mind, but she began to shout and shriek at him. That swinging bag spells trouble, I thought. My 17th chapter will not get finished today. But just as the Kabuliwala attracted my Minnie's yells, he looked towards us with a smile and started to approach our house. Minnie gasped and ran into the inner rooms, disappearing from view, as if she was scared. She had a blind conviction that if one looked inside that swinging bag of the Kabuliwala, one would find 3 or 4 little children like her. Meanwhile, the Kabuliwala came up to the window and smilingly salaamed. I decided that although the plight of Pratap Singh and Kanchanmala was extremely critical, it would be churlish not to invite the fellow inside and buy something from him. I bought something. Then I chatted to him for a bit. We talked about Abdur Rahman's efforts to preserve the integrity of Afghanistan against the Russians and the British. When he got up to leave, he asked, Babu, where did your little girl go? To dispel her groundless fears, I called Minnie to come out. She clung to me and looked suspiciously at the Kabuliwala and his bag. The Kabuliwala took some raisins and apricots out and offered them to her. But she would not take them and clung to my knees with double suspicion. Thus passed her first meeting with the Kabuliwala. A few days later, when for some reason I was on my way out of the house one morning, I saw my daughter sitting on a bench in front of the door, nattering unrestrainedly, and the Kabuliwala was sitting at her feet listening, grinning broadly, and from time to time making comments in his hybrid sort of Bengali. In all her 5 years of life, Minnie had never found so patient of a listener, apart from her father, of course. I also saw that the fold on her little sari was crammed with raisins and nuts. I said to the Kabuliwala, why have you given her all this? Don't give her any more. I then took a half-rupee out of my pocket and gave it to him. He unhesitatingly took the coin and put it in his bag. When I returned home, I found that this half-rupee had caused a full-scale row. Minnie's mother was holding up a round, shining object and saying crossly to Minnie, where did you get this half-rupee from? The Kabuliwala gave it to me, said Minnie. "Why did you take it from the Kabuliwala?" said her mother. "I didn't ask for it," said Minnie tearfully. "He gave it to me himself." I rescued Minnie from her mother's wrath and took her inside. I learned that this was not just the second time that Minnie and the Kabuliwala had met. He had been coming nearly every day, and by bribing her eager little heart with pistachio nuts and raisins, had quite won her over. I found that they now had a certain fixed joke and some routines. For example, as soon as Minnie saw Rahmat, she giggled and asked, "Kabuliwala, oh Kabuliwala, what have you got in your bag?" Rahmat would laugh back and say, giving the word a peculiar nasal twang, "An elephant." The notion of an elephant in his bag was the source of immense hilarity. It might not be a very subtle joke, but they both seemed to find it very, very funny, and it gave me pleasure to see on an autumn morning a young child and a grown man laugh so heartily. They had a couple of other jokes. Rahmat would tell Minnie, "Little one, don't ever go off to your Shoshur Bari." Most Bengali girls grow up hearing frequent references to their Shoshur Bari. But my wife and I are rather progressive people, and we don't keep talking about our young daughter and her future marriage. So, even though Shoshur Bari technically means your in-laws' place, Minnie doesn't really have an idea of what exactly that means. She therefore couldn't clearly understand what Rahmat meant. Yet, to remain silent and give no reply was wholly against Minnie's nature. So she would turn back the idea around and say, "Are you going to your Shoshur Bari?" Shaking his huge fist at an imaginary father-in-law, Rahmat said, "I will settle him." Minnie laughed merrily as she imagined the fate awaiting this unknown creature called a Shoshur, or a father-in-law. It was the perfect autumn weather. In ancient times, kings used to set out on their world conquests in autumn. I have never been away from Calcutta. Precisely because of that, my mind roves all over the world. I seem to be condemned to my house, but I constantly yearn for the whole world outside. If I hear the name of a foreign land, at once my heart races towards it. And if I see a foreigner, at once an image of a cottage on some far bank or wooden mountainside forms in my mind. And I think of the free and pleasant life I would have had there. At the same time, I'm such a rooted sort of individual that whenever I have to leave my familiar spot, I practically collapse. So, a morning spent sitting at my table in my little study, chatting with this Kabuliwala, was quite enough wandering for me. High, scorched, blood-colored, forbidding mountains on either side of a narrow desert path, laden camels passing, turbaned merchants and wayfarers, some on camels, some walking, some with their spears in hands, and some with an old-fashioned flintlock gun. My friend would talk of his native land in his booming, broken Bengali, and a mental picture of it would pass before my eyes. Minnie's mother is very easily alarmed. The slightest noise in the street makes her think that all the world's drunkards are chasing right towards us and charging straight at our house. She cannot dispel from her mind. Despite her experience of life, which of course isn't great, the apprehension that the world is overrun with thieves, bandits, drunkards, snakes, tigers, malaria, caterpillars, cockroaches, and white-skinned marauders, she was not happy that Rahmat the Kabuliwala was frequenting our home so much. She repeatedly told me to keep a close eye on him. I tried to laugh it off. I tried to laugh off her suspicions always. She would launch into such a succession of questions if I did, though. "So, do people's children never go missing? And, does things like this not happen in Afghanistan? Have you not heard of slavery in Afghanistan? Is it completely impossible for a huge Afghan to kidnap a little child like my Minnie?" I had to admit that it was not impossible, but I found it rather hard to believe. People are suggestible to varying degrees. This was why my wife remained so edgy, but I still saw nothing wrong in letting Rahmat come to our house. Every year, about the middle of the month of Magh, the Rahmat went home. The Kabuliwala went home. He was always very busy before he left, collecting money owed to him. He had to go from house to house, but he still made time to visit my little Minnie. To see them together, one might well suppose that they are plotting something. If he couldn't come in the morning, he would come in the evening. To see his lanky figure in a corner of the darkened house, with his baggy pajamas hanging loosely around him, was indeed a little frightening. but my heart would light up as Minnie ran to meet him, smiling and calling, "Oh, Kabuliwala! Oh, Kabuliwala!" And the usual innocent jokes passed between the two friends, unequal in age though they were. अभी के लिए बस इतना ही, लेते हैं एक छोटा सा म्यूजिकल ब्रेक। म्यूजिकल ब्रेक से आने के बाद सुनेंगे कि काबुलीवाला और मिनी की दोस्ती और उनकी जर्नी कहाँ तक ले जाती है, और उनके डैड की जुबानी सुनेंगे कि सोसाइटी का जो इम्प्रेशन है, जो व्यू पॉइंट है, वो कभी कभी कितना ज्यादा अलग होता है फ्रॉम व्हाट अ हार्ट रियली वांट्स। सुनते रहिए रेडियो जिंदगी 1550 AM GA।